everybody, welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season with me. Down the inside, absolutely possible season.
This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakely will dive to the inside.
We're robust, we got our elbows out.
Ronard takes the lead.
Because here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Yarda Watmere is your champion.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to PSGL PCF2 Season 41, Round 6 of the season, where today we head to a track that we wasn't meant to be heading to until glitches came again in F125. So instead of heading to Canada, we're heading off to Spain, and joining myself in the commentary box, Nathan Richards. It's been a long time since I've been here. I'm alongside Omi, who, I think the last time I was here in F2, Omi, it was me and you together for Monaco a couple seasons back.
Yes, absolutely. It was a couple of seasons back. So it's been a while, but great to be back. And we're continuing season 41 here for PCF2. And it has been competitive so far this season.
Yes, it certainly has. I was having a look at the results earlier on because I'm not going to lie and say I've watched every race because I haven't. But yeah, so I had a look and I did a little bit of number crunch, and it's the first time since season 35 that we've had 11 drivers on the podium in 5 races, which is certainly a record to try and withhold. So I'm sure tonight we're going to see a lot of action around Barcelona, but we'll have a quick look at the standings as we head into the second part of the season. Of course, it is Luca Rapassa, I'd say unsurprisingly, leading the standings, 5 points ahead of Leo Lund in second. Tony Hietala, a brilliant season so far from him in Haas. Points scored in every race this season. He sits 3 points ahead of Nelson Alves in fourth, and Joe Murphy reigning off the top 5 with 2 podiums in his last 2 appearances. Then we have Gregory Priscibil in sixth, ahead of Diego Zorzo, Sergio Sobrino, Keedan Lutt, and then Liam Stevens, who dropped to reserve, rounding off for the top 10. But of course, we've got lots of interesting tracks coming up over the season. So let's take a look at what tracks we're going to be heading to.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had some interesting ones, as you can see from the first 5 rounds. Round 6 today. It was meant to be at Canada, as you mentioned. Now we're heading over to the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya. That is, of course, today. But we'll be heading over to Silverstone next time out for round number 7. And then to Mexico for the final race of 2025 for us here on the PC side. Then we'll head over to the Jeddah Corniche circuit, which always manages to deliver here at this level. The races are always exciting. Same applies to Brazil. And then we'll get to conclude our season, round number 11, on the 22nd of January at Abu Dhabi, where, of course, the real-life season will conclude this week. But we'll be doing that very, very soon, because all the rounds go by very, very quickly. But we are very much absolutely speeding our way through this season, and it has been exciting so far. And we've got some exciting tracks that are yet to come.
Certainly, and it seems like when a season starts in PSGL, it's not that long till it ends, and you have to say your farewells to the season, and we're already at season 41. Time does fly by, that is indeed. And I want to have a look at the pre-race info thing, because I've never played with this before. So we've got our cameras on the screen and we've got the track map on the right-hand side. I love this. I've never seen it before. It's perfect. So, of course, you can see the brilliant track of Barcelona, Catalunya. Of course, 14 corners. It got changed a couple of years back for the better, because you now have way more of a chance to make a move down towards turn 1. And a key thing to note about this track, Omi, is, of course, with it being quite a short track, in the 1-minute 11s, I think you can sometimes get into the 110s at, maybe 110.8 or something at max. It means that you've got to get every corner perfect. And around a track where you can't really gain and lose a lot of time in each corner, you've got to be perfect every single time.
Yeah, absolutely. May look simple from the view that we're currently, that we were seeing a few moments ago, but now we're going to, of course, get the drivers heading out there. Those margins are really going to matter when it comes to this qualifying session. The Red Bull Ring, that was our previous race, and it absolutely did matter as well. at Austria. And it will be a similar situation out here on this circuit as the drivers make their way around this venue for their outlap at the moment. So they'll get ready for their first push, and it should be very, very exciting to see who's going to take pole position. Qualifyings this season have been absolutely great to watch. We have had plenty of drivers who've added their names to the list in terms of new pole sitters as well, and there's been drivers like Tony Hietala who have continued to rack up more and more, and Hietala is going to be looking to do that once again, chasing his 5th pole by the end of today in PCF2.
Certainly. So we do have now cars heading out onto track, and I've been given a little bit of information by a certain friend of mine saying that we are going to have intermediate tyres being used in the race. Now that does make things interesting. Well, it doesn't, but I'm going to say that for the sake of it, because if it's Inters, it's going to be a very boring long race. So I'm hoping there's mixed conditions involved in that one. But before we get to the race, of course, we have 18-minute qualifying session to go through first. And the first car heading down towards turn 1 will be Gabriel Quintino, who's a driver that has, every time I've seen him, he's either having a really good race or a really terrible race. So I think for him tonight, if he can get into the top 10, that'll kind of be perfect for him to then bounce back in the race and go even higher.
It will be indeed for the driver who's been promoted from reserve to full-time in that Aston Martin car with Liam Stevens stepping back to reserve. He made his, well, debut of the season last time out, did Quintino. Unfortunately ended in a retirement. So he's had one race this season. It was a retirement. It means he is all the way at the back in the standings. So he's got a lot of work to do, especially considering he is now going to be full-time. It's not just one-round appearances here and there. So he's got to put together a good campaign and make the best of what he can out of the remaining second half of this season. So let's see how Quintino is going to do. The Brazilian driver pushing on. Dominated F3 a few seasons ago, the first half of F3, and dominated to a point where he got promoted up to F2 mid-season, and he sets the lap time on the board for the rest of the drivers to beat. It is a 1minute 10.971.
Certainly, as we do have more cars on track. I'm just keeping an eye here. Actually, we'll go to Tony Hietala, who's just making his way through into Sector 3. A very nice opening time there for Quintino, of course. Also just about a tenth back from him on a 111.0. So let's see now what Tony can do as he makes his way into turn 14. Of course, it's not really much of a corner. You just move the wheel a little bit and you fly through, and it's going to be a 110.959 for him to open his qualifying session up. And Ryan Modler there, a couple of tenths back in 4th. Currently, Cameron Dowds making his way up to the line. He goes up to provisional pole with a 110.949. And I'm sure with that lap, he's not going to stay quickest for very long. This is one of those tracks where every lap, the laps just get quicker.
Yet the track moves forward and forward. Cameron Dowds has never had a pole in the second tier. He would love to change that by the end of today. Conrad Bohm's lap time puts him P5, just ahead of Luca Rapassa, who is your championship leader. Here is Imtiaz as he cuts the beam now. P7 for him. And we now look over to Sergio Sobrino as he tries to find a good lap time that can get himself in the top 5. A few more corners to go on this lap. Through turn number 13, heading to 14. Larry Tulke now goes to the top as well. So as we predicted, there would be drivers going quicker and quicker. Let's see where this lap time will put Sergio Sobrino over the line. Goes the Mercedes man, and now he goes to the front of the field.
Indeed, and next across the line will be Gregory Prejibal here in the McLaren as he makes his way into the final corner. Can he try and take that pole position away up to the line? He goes into P7. Then next across the line will be his teammate Leo Lund as he makes his way through the penultimate corner, then into the final corner, and we'll see what he can do. Of course, currently P2 in the standings. Would love to jump ahead of Luca Rapassa in the first lap. He does go ahead of Luca Rapassa, and he goes into P6. 3 1,000ths back from Gabriel Quintino. Then we have a few more cars on a lap. We have Rishan Jacobs, who's just started one. We have Tom Roberts and the other kick saber of Oscar Furheim, who are on their laps currently. So we'll keep an eye here on what Tom Roberts can do as he makes his way down towards turn 10. And of course, his final section here, and whenever I play this game actually, at this final part of the track, traction is very low. So sometimes you've just got to hope the car will stick all the way through here.
Yes, and that is exactly what Roberts is hoping for. Round the final turn, only in what is his 6th start of PCF2, of course, was with us and then went over to PlayStation for a long period of time and then has returned this season. Oscar Furheim is the driver who's coming into this as the reigning PS F1 champion. Let's now cut over to Rishan Jacobs as he tries to improve. Let's see what lap time he'll be able to get. We're still waiting for a response also from Lut and Fan Zelta at the same time as Jacobs now will make his way around the final few turns. Let's see where this lap time will put him. Has had a struggle when it has come to qualifying. Had a very good qualifying at Vegas last season. Right now, this season, it's P9 on the board. Here's Fan Zelta.
What he could do is he heads up to the line, goes up into P16. Not the ideal start for him, but of course he still has many laps to take under this qualifying session, and that was a bit of a slide it seemed there for Keaton Look through the final corner, but either way he goes P7 with a 110.996. So that's pretty much all of the first laps complete. A few drivers already on their second laps, one of them being Diego Zorzo. Currently sits P8. He's around 2/10, maybe nearly 3/10 actually, away from that pole position time of his teammate Sergio Sabrino, so he's got to try and find some time here on this next run. But I think with the way the tyre allocation works, and with it being quite a short lap, you can get easily 3 runs in here, can't you? Maybe 4, depending on your tyre allocation, because if it is going to rain, like what we think it will, you don't need to worry about burning all your softs up, do you?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't need to consider that at all with a possible wet race coming up. Wide stuff for Diego Zorzo as he sent the car in through the corners of 7 and 8. Now gets the rear wing open as he tries to improve on this lap time. Still up by 12 thousandths of a second. Now those thousandths will matter. We talked about with this short circuit, there is so much time for the drivers in the field to find, and Diego Zorzo is looking to do that at this precise moment as he now turns through the final corner. P8, where will this one go? Will it be an improvement? It will be an improvement to P5. The driver who he's just got ahead of is Gabriel Quintino. He's also improving, and he'll look to take it straight back and to the top of the table as well.
Very nice lap there from Gabriel Quintino, up to the top of the times. Here, with 9 minutes to go in this session, we have Tony Hietala going out on his next out lap. Of course, Tony has been absolutely flying in qualifying over the season, but the race is where he seems to lack a little bit. So, hopefully for him, he can get another good qualifying and then convert that into a good race result. But of course, he still sits P3 in the standing. So, despite having some poorer performances in the race, he's still showing for it with a very good championship position at the moment. So we'll see what he can do, but of course he's about a 10th and a half away from pole position. He's only 10 thousandths away from the second row on the field, but that 8.14 there for Quintino, I'm sure that will come down again. We might even see 0.7s or 0.6s. So yet again, every lap you take on this circuit, you've got to get your best lap. I mean, around some tracks you can sometimes take a lap or two just to get settled in and then go for one final push. But with how close the times are here, with how much you need to push in every corner, you can't really afford to do that around here. You've got to be pushing it every time at every corner. So Tony, heading through in towards 13 and 14. We'll see what he can do on his next lap. Is he starting lap? Yes, he is. He's going to open the battery and head back down towards turn 1.
He is indeed. Let's see how this one is going to go for him, for the driver who has only one podium in his F2 career as of yet. Well, by the other drivers in the tier, nicknamed the qualifying merchant, with the way he's able to wrestle the car around one lap to the top of the table. He's hoping to do that once again by the end of these 18 minutes. The first sector sees him down by 15 thousandths. Let's see whether he can make it up through this middle part of the lap, which he's going through now. Into turn number 5, he sends the car in, about to go through the kink of turn number 6. He's gone through that right now, and then through 7 and 8. You've got to keep the car planted, get over that curb, and then come back over to the left-hand side, getting ready and preparing for turn 9. And he's taken a good line through there. Let's see what this second sector time is looking like when you add up the first and second sector, and he is improving. He has made up some of that lap time, but that won't be enough. He'll want to go further. He'll want to go quicker through this final 2 corners that he's navigating his way through right now. Let's see where this one will go. 1 minute 10.959 at the moment for Tony. What will the next lap be?
Third. It's an improvement, but not enough to take that pole position away. So Tony yet again has more chances to go for that pole time, but of course we'll be looking to definitely go at least onto the front row of the field. I need to try and find who's next to actually finish a lap. We'll go on board here with Race Imtiaz. We haven't seen much of him in this qualifying session, so we'll see what the Aston Martin can do. He's currently sitting 13th with a 111.108, but he's up by over a tenth in Sector 2, and that's enough to put himself potentially up into 5th as Isaac Leeds there into P7. Lund up into the top 5 with an 8.94, so some big improvements coming through. As Ryan Modler there, I think, jumped up into P8. If not, he's just started a lap as we see Conrad Bohm up to 3rd for Red Bull. Ray Sintiaz up to the line. He goes up into the top 7. It's a 110.945, so some very quick improvements coming through. And, of course, it starts to put pressure on those like Cameron Dades, who didn't get that second lap in. He's now down to 9th. He was up in 4th.
That is how quickly a qualifying can change for you if you aren't able to get a lap in, and that's how dramatically it can change, especially in the final stages. If you do make a mistake, if you do make an error on that final run, you could find yourself falling down the order. Here is Gregory Prejibel, arrived to F2 in Starlight, Australia, where he took his first pole, had to settle for 2nd place in the race. Right now, he's settling behind his teammate. It is 7th for Gregory at this moment in time. Rishan Jacobs is down currently, so he's left himself with a bit of work to do through these final few corners, which he's gone through now. And when you add it all up, not an improvement. Still finding himself in P16. Here's Fan Zelter as he now sends it over the line. Same applies to him. He is 8 thousandths down on what he'd managed earlier on. 5 minutes and 30 seconds to go on the clock. It's Quintino, Sabrino, Bohm, Hietala and Tulki, our top 5. And it's been an interesting session so far, and now we are getting closer and closer to see who is going to be taking that 1 bonus point available for pole position.
Indeed, and next to cross the line will be both. Never mind, Sabrino's into the pit lane. Quintino, we'll see if he's going to be on a lap, but Sabrino was on one and has decided to go into the pit lane. Let's see what Gabriel Quintino chooses to do. Currently on that provisional pole position, he will make his way into the final corner. Will it be an extension into a 110.7 up to the line? No, he's 16 thousandths down on that best lap time so far. So he was, I presume he was up in Sector 2, but of course lost time in that Sector 3, otherwise he probably would have bailed at the end of that one. And I think that's everybody done at the moment with their laps, as Diego Zorzo, yes, he's a second down on his personal best. Jacobs is heading back into the pit lane, and so is Florian Van Zelter. So, with 4 minutes to go, there'll be no drivers, I presume, doing 2 laps. I think everybody will prepare themselves for one last lap in qualifying and try and take that pole position away. But, of course, the top 5, very competitive. And, well, there's 3 FVRs there with Quintino, Hietala and Tolki. So FVR seem to be very strong around this circuit.
They really, really do. And can they now convert into the important phase of this qualifying session when we head out there for the final runs, where, as we've already described to you, it will be improve or head backwards in terms of the timing board. So Luca Rapassa, right now your championship leader, finding himself in 9th in this session as of yet. Leo Lund in 2nd when it comes to the championship standings. He's in 6th. And then P3 driver Tony Hietala, who is technically tied for 2nd because they're on the same points, Leo Lund and Hietala. So Hietala finds himself in 4th. So that's how those 3 currently stack up in terms of the order, all with improvements to be found. But Hietala is the one ahead, which shouldn't come as a surprise due to how good he's been when it has come to qualifying. But the exam questions got a bit harder when it has come to the race, and that is where he needs to unlock that extra level, which will absolutely propel him right to the top of this championship. But he's been consistent, and that is exactly what has been keeping him inside the running for this title battle. Before this season, he had never had a top 5 finish in PCF2, and he's come in, and in terms of, well, he's had 4 out of the 5 races where he's managed it, with 10th last time out being his worst result, which of course came at the Red Bull Ring 1 week ago.
Indeed, it's great to see drivers kind of have a season where they come in and they kind of just take part. They don't really score much, but then the next season after, they've kind of gained their experience. They kind of know what sort of level the others are at, and then they can start coming in and pumping in results. And of course, that gives you confidence. And I think the one thing I've seen, ever since I've been here at PSGL is momentum. And if you have a driver that's banging in top 5s, banging in top 10s consistently, they stay there. They don't all of a sudden drop off and do bad. They consistently stay there. So you've just got to carry that momentum for a whole season, and sometimes just being consistent in the top 5, not even getting a podium, it's good enough to be right up there in the standings. And just looking at the gap so far in qualifying, the top 14 are separated by a tenth and a half. And normally you'd be looking at Diego Zorzo and saying 14th, that is a terrible result for Diego. But he's only a tenth and a half away from pole, which sometimes may be the gap between the top 3 or top 4. So it just shows how competitive this track is. And the first car to go out for their lap will be Luca Rapassa. And of course, he's one of those drivers that you give him that opportunity to go for one last lap to put it on pole. And he's certainly going to be one to try and take it. So let's see what Luca can do.
Yep, Luca Rapassa can be absolutely brilliant when it comes to under pressure. Exactly what he delivered in Monaco, where he grabbed pole position at that tricky circuit. Now, this time around, 200ths down in the opening sector of the lap. So he's currently pushing on the driver in 9th. Now, the pole setup from even earlier on, Texas taking his first pole was Nelson Alves. If anyone is wondering why he isn't in this session, he's got a qualifying ban from last time out, so he'll go from 19th. So we've got 18 contenders remaining, all trying to get to the fastest time. Luca Rapassa then will send it in towards turn number 10, and he is improving 600ths by the time he completes that second sector.
Indeed, so a decent middle sector here for Luca, but he needs to find at least a 10th in the final if he wants to try and get onto that pole position spot and take it away from the Aston Martin of Gabriel Quintino. So Luca now into the final corner, 9th currently. Where can he get by the end of the lap? He goes and stays 9th. He lost a lot of time in the final sector, so that's it for Luca Rapassa.
Yep, nothing he can do as Tony Hietala returns back to the front of the field. Meanwhile, his teammate runs in deep, and that won't be an improvement round the final corner of the lap. The new driver who is top is Leo Lund. He's now found the lap time of 1 minute 10.785, so he's the first driver into the 10.7s at the moment. Here is Cameron Dowds currently in 14th position. Big leap forward to P6, but we're looking to the battle that is currently going on for pole position. Great lap time when required for Imtiaz, and he's going to be moved down due to Bohm. He's found the lap time for 4th. The checkered flag is flying. Van Zelter is in 17th, and we have Larry Tulke now making his way to one pole position in his F2 career. He gets close to it, but is only in 3rd. Here is Ryan Modler. He's invalidated, so there's not going to be an improvement. Gabriel Quintino, though, going for first pole in F2, and he's done it. What a lap time by Gabriel Quintino. Can it be his first pole, or does anyone else have a response to try beat him? Sergio Sabrino doesn't. He's in the pit lane, and here is Rishan Jacobs. He has the final sector to go, but absolutely brilliant stuff from Gabriel Quintino. When required, he has found the lap time, and as it stands, he's about to join the drivers who have found themselves taking a pole this season.
Indeed, a brilliant lap there from Quintino. Jacobs, he goes up into the top 10. Isaac Leet will stay in P11. What about Cameron Dowds? I think he's down in that second sector, so what a pole position there for Gabriel Quintino. And I think once he said that first lap at the start of the session, you looked at it and thought, he's definitely going to be a contender for pole. He did the same on that second run, and he took it on the final run. A brilliant lap from Quintino to go ahead of Leo Lund by around 42 thousandths of a second, with Tony Hietala yet again in the top 3, Larry Tulke 4th, and Conrad Bohm up into the top 5. So I think he's only had a couple of appearances this season, so brilliant to see Conrad up there. And I think he was only given a reserve spot about an hour ago. He was very late being added as a reserve. I'll have a quick check what it was. He was given a reserve spot at 4 p.m, so around 4 hours ago. That's a lot of... Well, that's not really a lot of time to get on and practice, considering he probably was at school or something, or work.
Wow, absolutely brilliant. PSGL Season 41 for F2 continues to deliver in terms of surprises and shocks. And Quintino, from a retirement 1 week ago to the fastest time, to the first pole, and also he becomes the 62nd driver to take a PSGL PC F2 pole. A great list for him to join, and that one has to be special. And we were discussing earlier on about how you've had lots of drivers who had mediocre first seasons. Quintino's turned up, and now in his 3rd season, he's delivered a fantastic lap time for pole.
Yeah, certainly. And look at the gaps there. The top 7 separated by not even a tenth of a second. Of course, it was Quintino, Lund, Hietala, Tulke and Bohm, the top 5. Then we had Sabrino, Imtiaz, Prejibel, Dowds and Rishan Jacobs, the top 10. Then we had Isaac Leet, Keaton Lutt, Diego Zorzo, Oscar Furaheim, Luca Rapassa, disappointing result for him. Then we had Ryan Modler, Florian Van Zelter, Tom Roberts, and then the qualifying band, Nelson Alves. And I presume, Omi, there's no restart, which is just it's singing to my ears. I love the sound of no restart for once.
Yes.
And it's wet.
There we go. There's the rain that we knew that would come our way. But yes, we can confirm to no restart because, of course, we didn't get any good penalties either. But we're looking down in the pit lane. We're looking down to a wet pit lane at the moment. But you know we've had a great qualifying where the champion to lead is way down the order and we didn't even get to mention it due to the great storylines that we had at the front of the field. But yes, this should be some raise and another twist in this season.
Yes, certainly. In rain will make things interesting, and it also makes you beg to think what setups drivers use in there in that qualifying session, because I presume that Parc Fermé's on and they can't change their setups that much. So some of them probably would have run a maybe high wing setup just to prepare themselves for this wet weather, and there might have been some that maybe risked it a little bit more to get a better lap in qualifying to then, of course, have to try a little bit more in keeping the car on track in the race. But of course, as I was told, it's wet the whole way through, so it's about now picking whether you stay out the whole race, if you can even do that on this game, and then, if not, picking the perfect lap to pick, because we know sometimes that undercut/overcut on the intermediates can sometimes save you or give you a couple of seconds.
Yeah, it really, really can, but this should be an exciting race start coming your way down towards the first turn. Of course, we've got a bit of a run there as well, so you have the slipstreaming that can play out the reaction times, which of course now with a wet race, you're going to get a little bit off that. Here we go, we are about to get going. 3, 4, 5 red lights in Spain. And PSGL is racing at Barcelona with a good reaction time from Gabriel Quintino. That'll be the lead down towards the first corner. But Leo Lund is going to try and fight this one back in the second phase of the start. Looks to the outside line, backs out of it. Top two as they were. As they left the line, it's wheel to wheel in the battle for third position. Laurie Tulke is up against Tony Hietala, who is trying to dance around the outside, but no way through at the moment. We're on board with P5 driver Conrad Bohm, and we cut over to Gregory Prejibel, who is watching the teammates in behind battle of and Jacobs and Cameron Dowd. It's Jacobs ahead as Dowd continues to fight him. It's Quintino maintaining the lead down to turn 5.
Indeed, and lots of battles here in the mid-pack as drivers are all looking for sends, and that's Cameron Dowd and Richard Jacobs in towards turn 5. It's 3-1 on the exit. Somebody's going to come out of this unscathed, and no, they all make it through. Diego Zorzo goes for a send. He's going to make it 3 wide. Can he get ahead? No, he's still going to fight with Jacob, with others leak, sorry, as they head into the final corner. And further back, Kieran looks off the track. So he's dropped down to 19th, and then looking further ahead, Gregory Prejibel's looking to make a move. He's looking to go ahead of Race Imtiaz in towards turn 10. He's got that inside line. He's going to make his way through, but has to back out as they head through towards turns 13. So still P7 on the cards here for Race Imtiaz, but very, very interesting further back with, unfortunately, Keedan Lutz dropping down to 19th and Luca Rapassa down to 18th.
Terrible, terrible start for Luca Rapassa. He's got work to do. The driver who had a qualifying ban, Nelson Alves, has already got past and is looking for another overtake. He knows he has to go on the attack. He knows he has to try and recover. The Racing Bulls still aren't separated by anything as we throw it down to turn 1. Dowds and Jacobs were properly going for it on the opening lap around this part of the circuit. Here on lap number 2, you still have Rishan Jacobs trying to barge, trying to push his way by. This is a battle over 9th and 10th position, the final points-paying positions at this moment in time. But yes, that was a great start for Quintino. He was able to control things and maintain the lead at the front of the field. Cameron Dowd's all out of shape, gives the invitation to Rishan Jacobs, who comes dive bombing up the inside and takes P9 away from his teammate.
Well, that would have been a code brown there for Cameron Dowd. Very close to ending up in the gravel and ended up in the barriers. So it's Jacobs into 9th as Dowd is back up the inside in towards turn 9. This is going to get close as they make their way through. The two teammates are fighting and Jacobs just about keeps ahead, but Cameron Dowd's again on the attack on the outside line in towards turn 10. Further back as well, one of the Alpines looking to make their way forward. It's deep there for Cameron Dowd, so that allows Diego Zorzo potentially to try and get on the scene, but once again the two V-carbs are side by side in towards turn 13. This could get close to contact. This could end in contact. Off the track goes Jacobs. Through goes Diego Zorzo, and somehow Jacobs didn't end up in the gravel completely. I mean, that was a scary moment indeed.
Yep, and they're very nearly 3 wide. Down towards turn 1, it's getting very tight between them all. And now Jacobs is all out of shape. Diego Zorzo's trying to fight his way by into the first turn. Dowds won't want, well, Dowds is pulling up the road. Jacobs doesn't want to give it up, and Jacobs is still trying to keep his foot in. This is corner after corner between the two of them in these slippery conditions at the moment. And you have Isaac Lee just waiting for his opportunity directly in behind. Inside line finally gets Diego Zorzo ahead, and now Leet is, well, getting the door shut by Jacobs, who knows he has to cover off the line. Can they get through? Oh, that's going to be wide for Diego Zorzo, and it's opened the door back for Rishan Jacobs. This is crazy battling here in the mid-pack.
It is, and Jacobs there, I think, was looking to go for ascending to turn 7, but thought, no, it's probably not best to go for ascending to the chicane. So Zorzo, with a bit of a mistake there, does keep ahead in that P10 spot, and Jacobs outside of the points after a very chaotic last couple of corners, as now Isaac Leet is on the attack. Same further behind is Florian Fanzelter after very poor qualifying. Now looking to make his way up into 13th ahead of Oscar Furreheim as they head in towards turn 12, and I don't think the Alpine has quite got the grip around the outside and has to back out for now and still concedes in that 14th spot. Further ahead though, there's absolutely nothing going on really, apart from, well, the closest gaps in the top 10 is Larry talking to Leo Lund, which is 4.5 tenths of a second. The top 10 are kind of, I think, content on just staying where they are for that first initial stint, and then maybe later on in the race they'll look to push a little bit more.
Yeah, talking about pushing, that's exactly what Fanzelter is trying to do at this specific moment in time. Soaring away at the back of Oscar Furheim. Let's now look to a battle that possibly has closed in within the top 10, and that is going to get close to contact. Sergio Sabrino, late lunge, barges his way by and moves up to P5, and they're still side by side, and Sabrino has gone off the road. Imtiaz says thank you very much, that's a free position for him, but they went wide out of the 4th turn on the circuit as they battled away, and Sergio Sabrino, well, he got so close to the back that he had to commit, and they both went deep, and Imtiaz now has gained 1 place thanks to that. Both of them have lost, all 3 of them though have lost that 1 second gap to the cars ahead. Of course, there is no DRS in these conditions anyway, but you always want to be within striking range just to keep yourself safe as well. So these guys losing touch now to those cars ahead.
Certainly, so the top 4 saying thank you very much. We'll pull away now and secure ourselves a top 4 and potentially a podium. This is not good at all for Sabrino because he's got to try and bring that gap down. And even though we know that the slipstream isn't that high and in the rain it's really matter how close you are, but still having that extra gap, it still stops you from kind of sticking with them. You're not going to get any slipstream to the point where you stick with them, you'll just lose time, and that's not what you want. So you can see there, Sabrino losing even more time as further back there's a move on the cards potentially for Cameron Dowds, looking to get ahead of Gregory Prajibal as Nelson Alves makes a move ahead of Ryan Modeler for 15th place. Of course, Alves started 19th after the qualifying ban he received from last round. He's making his way up the field quite nicely, closing in on the back of Florian Fanzelter. And we look further ahead, and Tony Hirtala is now closing in on the back of Larry Sulkey. So there could potentially be a move on the cards for 3rd place, and of course, when it's wet weather like this, it's very difficult to make a pass. So if you get an opportunity now on lap 5, you've got to take it, because you know, as long as you don't make a mistake, and you don't make a mistake in the pit lane, you've probably got that P3 covered off. So Larry Sulkey now will be trying to defend like he can to Tony Hirtala.
Yeah, it's a little bit like real life at this precise moment, where if you get an open door, you're going for it, rather than doing the waiting game. So it is similar to what real life F1, basically, the races can usually be, where any opportunity you get, you don't know. That could be your last one, so you've got to take it at that precise moment. So it means you've got a bit of a different race taking place out there on the circuit. It means you're going to get all the argy-bargy moments spread out and scattered across the entire 33 laps, rather than all just in the final stages, because the drivers will be treating this as the final stages, because they know this will be some of their last chances they will get. And Alves trying to make up for that qualifying ban, trying to find a gap to the outside line, not being given a gap by Fanzelter, who basically just continued with his line. Alves tried to, well, get there anyway. Rapassa, though, is being able to close in now thanks to this, and he's trying to find a gap up the inside. So this is Alves versus Rapassa. Well, things have very much changed in this season. These guys used to battling at the front of the field, now for 15th, now for 16th, and it's Alves who stays ahead for the moment and tries to make a move of his own further up the road.
Certainly. And Luca Rapassa not really got off to any bright things at the start of this race. not been the best start for him, and it makes you think if he's stuck in 16th now, is he really got any chance of making the top 10? It makes you think. So this could be a bit of a failure for Rapasa in his championship charge. Of course, Leo Lund up in the into P2, Italo up into P4 at the moment. That would be enough for both of them to jump ahead of Rapasa in the championship. So this is certainly not what he would have wanted, as unfortunately it seems Tom Roberts has disconnected from the race, and that is not good for him. I mean, he wasn't really doing much anyway down in 18th, but now it means he's going to be even further back when he rejoins. So potentially points are definitely off the cards for him now, unless there is a safety car. I mean, that is possible around here, but I think people aren't pushing enough because they don't want to, as here's a move for the lead.
Yeah, absolutely. Leo Lund with his first proper look that he has had so far, forcing a defensive shape. Tom Roberts quickly getting himself back in to the lobby, but he's already dropped to the back of the field. Let's hope he can get in quickly to minimise the time lost. But yes, we are now battling for the lead, so it has closed in at the front of the field just that little bit, as the very close running continues further in behind. Diego Zorzo looking to try and get past Cameron Doubt, who's already had some battling today. Diego Zorzo flips it up the inside. That's late on the brakes, and he's taken the position. That is Diego Zorzo getting his elbows out and sensing an opportunity and taking it at the first chance he got.
Well, that was a send indeed. I don't think Cameron Dowds will be happy with that one. And I think Diego Zorzo might be a little bit shaken after that, because that could certainly go to the steward's room later on. But Diego Zorzo up into 9th, Dowds down to 10th. And yet again, let's see if Leo Lund is going to have a go at trying to get ahead into the lead, move ahead of Gabriel Quintino. The gap at the moment, 4 tenths as they head into turn 13. And then, of course, they have turn 14, where this is where really Leo Lund needs to gain. If he can gain a 10th here, which he's gained a little bit, he's gained about half a 10th, it then gives him a chance down to turn 1 to launch ahead and go for the lead. He's going to burn all the battery. He's going to have to pull to the outside because Quintino's holding the inside. Never mind, to the inside for Leo Lund. I think he tried to scare Quintino more than anything, but he still stops in P2. But he's keen now on trying to get ahead as we have a battle further back, and that's Prajibal off the circuit to turn 1.
My word, was that very, very tight, and there you see Isaac Leet taking advantage. Two of the drivers who fought for the F3 title 1 season ago, and it's getting continuously tight. This time it's Dowds trying to be the one who sends it up the inside. Prajibal and Leet still going for it further back, and Prajibal's got ahead, and you could tell Dowds wanted to come back up the inside there, but was a little bit too far back. He wanted to basically immediately send it back in a similar way to what we saw last lap Zorzo do to him. The gap for the lead has gone to 8 tenths of a second as Quintino now starts to pull away a little bit once again, but this race continuing to ebb and flow at the moment. That is what you get with a wet race at Barcelona, but the drivers are definitely, every lap someone's going for it in this field. One of the 19 drivers definitely trying their luck, which is keeping us entertained up here in the commentary box, and hopefully it's keeping everyone entertained as well. Let us know in the live chat your thoughts on the race so far. We're on lap number 9 now, out of 33.
Oh, we have a pit stop here. Nelson Alves will go into the pit lane, so we'll see what he chooses to do. Oh, we get Nelson, that wasn't ideal. I mean, it looks like he slowed down a lot as well. It looked like he was prepared, but no. Unfortunately, that will be a 10-second time penalty for Nelson Alves, and he had a really good first couple of laps moving his way up the field. He got up to 14th. He's now back down to the bottom. He's pitted very early, so this is already a risk, but he's also got a 10-second time penalty, so points pretty much bye-bye for Nelson Alves. A big shame, because he was looking very bright.
Yep, it is quite a shame with the extraordinary round that he had at Texas. One where he was able to get stuff in this championship that he'd never done before on his 40th start, including a first pole for him, including a return to victory after a couple of seasons. He's not been able to continue and carry that momentum. Would have been a perfect chance for him, because while we're talking a lot about the top 3 in the championship battle, Nelson Alves, I mean, he only sat 8 points away. That is very much set to change by the end of today with the way this race is looking, but more in the favour of Leo Lund with the way that he's driving, having a good race in second place, trying to go for the win, and Leo Lund trying to get himself to what would be a third victory of the season for him. Into the pit lane now we go with Luca Rapassa, so he goes for a similar approach now as he sends it into the pit lane. Fastest lap for Tom Roberts further back, and Luca Rapassa gets ready to rejoin the circuit.
Certainly is here. Is Sergio Sabrino closing in very quickly on the back of Tony Hietala, but no move made, and he stays in P5 for now. So we'll have to see what happens here between Alves and Rapassa. The gap at the moment as they head out to the pit lane is just over a second here in the advantage of Nelson Alves. So that undercut does seem to work. So the question is now, do others try and go for that undercut strategy and try something a little bit different? I think because these two have pitted, that could trigger others into being forced into making that first pit stop as well and go for that at least one stop strategy. We head back down towards turn 10, just keeping an eye here on Rishan Jacobs. Of course, had a very chaotic couple of laps earlier on, but things for him have seemed to have calmed down over the past 5 or 6 laps, and he now sits P10 on the back of his teammates here. Cameron Dowds, of course, they aren't teammates in the world of the esports scene. They are both in different teams, one in FVR, the other in Saturn Restech, but of course in this series they are teammates in the VCARB. So that does make things interesting if we have to pit, because they are both together. So Rishan, just say a safety car comes out and they all decide to pit, he's certainly going to be a little bit hampered here. So that's the only disadvantage about being teammates with a random driver. You never really know what they're going to do you? So you can't really predict much, because Rishan could say, right, we'll pit lap 11. That could be the exact same for Cameron Dowd. So then Rishan has to change his strategy.
Yes, so you're losing a lot of time due to a double stack. So, well, that is why it's been so aggressive between them anyway. So, you know, they're together on the circuit, so there's every bit of a chance that could happen once again. Track position kind of means that you get the bragging rights about what is to take place, how is the pit stop phase set to go, and I'm sure that it will be exactly the case as well. We're taking a look right now with Sergio Sabrino chasing down Tony Hietala. And Sabrino, we have seen so far, has been very late with the dive bombs, has been making the moves, and if he is able to get close to Hietala, he will absolutely go for it. This would take him up to 4th position in the contest. Further in behind, you can see also the Aston Martin car of Race Imtiaz has only had a single podium in PCF2. He would love to add to that by the end of today's contest. He's had 34 starts before today. Today is his 35th, and now we were talking about the strategy and what could happen down at Racing Bulls. Well, Cameron Dowds dives it in.
Indeed, so I'm keen to see where Dowds comes out compared to Luca Rapassa and Nelson Alves. So we'll keep an eye on Rapassa because he's the further one back in the train. There's Tom Roberts as well. After a disconnection, he also heads into the pits, and it should be actually a very big advantage for Alves and Rapassa. I mean, Cameron Dowds was about, 7 positions ahead of them? Now, heading into turn 1, Rapassa's 2.5 seconds ahead. So, does that now start to say to other drivers, we need to pit soon? Because if Luca Rapassa and Nelson Alves are gaining positions on the top 10, surely that's a worry for others up in the top 5 potentially.
Yeah, if you're a Leo Lund, if you want to make things easy to try and jump Quintino, then, you know, that's a possibility. Same applies to Tilke. Do you want to jump them all? Same with Hietala, same with Sabrino, same with Imtiaz. So it could really get interesting. Specifically between our top 6, we, of course, expect the rest of the order to change, but they'll be getting that data. The engineer will be forwarding that we need to pit ASAP because, you know, most of the field could be about to do precisely that. Because of how much we've seen that undercut to be powerful so far in the few occasions that we've seen it. Right, most of our drivers go on then over the line for another lap. 5/10 between first and second, getting closer all the time as they send it down into the braking zone. But Leo Lund, well, not close enough on that occasion, so he still is staring at the back of Quintino, who has done well. He's controlled things ever since the lights went out. Had to go defensive into the first turn a few laps ago. Other than that, it's been a greatly judged performance so far, but he's always going to have the attentions of Leo Lund, who will absolutely be prepared to get his elbows out.
Certainly, I mean, Leo Lund is one of those that if he's looking for a win and the gap's a couple of tenths back on the final lap, he's going to go for a dive bomb, which may not end your race. I mean, he's one of those aggressive drivers who likes to take whatever he can. He reminds me a bit of a young Max Verstappen, which I'm not saying is a bad thing because I do rep Max quite a lot. So I suppose the same is for Leo Lund. I think the same as well can go for Luca Rapace on occasions. These drivers that are at the top of their game have to go for risky moves. They have to go for moves which don't always work out. Otherwise, you're always going to be the bridesmaid, never the bride. So we'll have to see what Leo Lund can do later on in the race, because he's certainly not going to settle for P2, especially given the circumstances of where Luca Rapace is. I mean, Leo Lund's 5 points back at the moment. He's on 12 points for a P2. If he gets P1, that's 16. That's potentially then a big swing to him having an 11-point gap in the championship potentially, and that is certainly something he'll be hoping for, whereas if he stays P2, it's only a 7-point gap.
Yep. That is something that will be going through the mind of Leo Lund, who I'm sure will want to try and go for this. Well, the racing driver spirit will absolutely want to fight its way by anyway, and Leo Lund behind the wheel will do everything possible to make that happen. We're about to get to half race distance in a couple of laps. Imtiaz now beginning to also close in on Sabrino, who was attacking. Now possibly just having to look in the mirrors, that's slight little bit more, because Imtiaz is also there, and he's also had a tough few seasons as well, ever since he became the F3 champion, got promoted into F2, not always been as high as he would have wanted, but he absolutely believes that he will get to the top, and he is continuing to work towards that. So having a good, decent race in this train for the win as well at the moment.
Certainly. Let's see if anybody decides to come in on lap 14. I mean, they're all going to have to pit. I'm sure they won't be able to do 33 laps on these intermediate tyres, especially considering they're going to be following each other all race long. So they're going to be overheating those tyres and heating up those engines. None of the top 5 pits. Anybody further behind pit? No. So it just seems that those further back have just gone for a stupidly early undercut. I mean, Luca Rapace and Nelson Alves had nothing to lose, but Cameron Days, he was P9 as here goes Leo Lund looking for the lead around the outside into turn 1. He's going to have the inside in towards turn 2. Contino fight back into turn 3. It's going to be side by side through there. Wide goes Leo Lund, and back through goes Gabriel Quintino.
Oh, I thought he'd lost it. I thought he had lost the lead until we saw Quintino come back up the inside of 3 and Leo Lund dance out wide. Well, that is the first time it's properly got interesting. Leo Lund able to turn the outside to the inside to the lead, only for a brief moment though, as he went out wide and Quintino got back through. So here we go then. We've had looks, now we had a proper wheel-to-wheel, side-by-side bit of contact as they made their way by, but Quintino this time around stayed ahead, and Larry Tulke, well, he'll be enjoying it because that's allowed him to close absolutely right in, and he can look in this battle. And also, we had a gap between 6th and 7th earlier on, now it's only 8-10, so Conrad Bohm is closing that in as well.
Certainly, as Tom Roberts has made a mistake at turn 5, or the exit of turn 5 at least, and his day is going from bad to worse. Not ideal at all for Tom Roberts, who will definitely not be finishing in the points this evening. Anybody going to pit this lap? We're on lap 15. We're going on to lap 16. Yes, we are. As Diego Zorzo is in the pit lane, so he's choosing to go for his stop. Same for Ryan Modler. So now these two are starting to pit. The question is, do others start to follow them in? Because it seems like Diego, from a P8 spot, you wouldn't just pit for going for a risky strategy. Surely that's kind of like the perfect point to pit. We're pretty much halfway through this race.
Yeah, it's now turning into a question of who's going to dive into the pit lane each lap. We're at this part of the race. We know the undercut has proven to be quite good as of yet. This race is going to get very interesting towards those final stages.
Oh, no!
Oh, safety car's out. I think Tom Roberts has had a moment round the final corner.
I think is that heading into the pit lane, it looks like, potentially.
Wow.
Now that is interesting. But Tom Roberts, well, he had a spinner half a lap later. He's in the barrier, either 1 in the pit lane or 2. No, because how would he end up DNFing on the inside wall of the final corner? It's got to be into the pits. He's just thrown it into the pit lane, and, well, that's ended his race, and that has really harmed Diego Zorzo. I mean, that could not get any worse for him, could it? At all. And Cameron Deads as well has been harmed in that one. Ryan Modler. And I suppose that actually helps Nelson and Luca, potentially.
Yeah, goodness me. Well, that is another curveball thrown at this race. Well, Tom Roberts hasn't had the best of luck. 4 retirements now in PCF2 in only his, well, he's had 6 starts and 4 of them have been retirements. Another best of time as we now see the field coming in, diving it in to the pit lane as they get it slowed down. And we're about to see the changes of the tyre to another set of the intermediates. Well, it is a single file pit lane, meaning you can't just try maybe sneak a move before you get in there as well, even though a few drivers are getting very, very close to each other. But yes, they'll have to wait a little bit for the overtaking, and then they'll finally get the opportunity when the safety car comes in.
Will Zorzo jump ahead of anyone here, actually? I don't think he will he?
They're already at the pit exit.
Oh, hang on. He might do. He's P8 before the pit stops. His P is going to shoot up the order to P13. So he's gained 2 positions in that. He was P15 before, he's now P13. So, not ideal at all for Diego Zorzo. And I suppose sometimes that's what happens when you go for a pit stop. It's when you're the only one that goes for a stop. You're the only one really that gets disadvantaged. So he's now 13th with a 1 lap older tyre, and I think for now it won't make a difference, but at the end of the race when you're trying to fight puncture, that 1 extra lap, which might be 3 or 4% of tyre wear, will matter. So this is not ideal at all for Diego Zorzo, but very ideal for everybody in the top 12 who have either gained or not lost.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. They'll get on with their race and we'll make our way into the second part of it. Basically, the race now sliced into 50% really, and we'll go again. Leo Lund, Larry Tulke, all of these drivers in the same position, just need to try and attack Gabriel Quintino. I think a brilliantly well-poised race. You've got a driver at the front of the field of Gabriel Quintino, who is absolutely winning material. The way he was able to run in F3 a few seasons ago was absolutely fantastic. Another one of those drivers who dominated F3 to a point where they didn't actually let him win the title. They promoted him up mid-season to F2. That is how dominant he was. He's come into F2, hasn't got a podium, hasn't got a win. He is making his 24th start in the tier today. He finds himself up against Leo Lund, who, well, we were talking to him 1 week ago about possibly getting to the all-time win record, which belongs to Angelo Di Ortenzio at 8. He's right now at 5 is Leo Lund. So it's very much a big difference in terms of you have one driver who's consistently up there, who's consistently doing it as well, compared to Quintino, who's just searching for his first podium, and he's doing so, well, trying to also get his first win. So it's a great clash of drivers between our top 2. And even if we look to Larry Tulke, same applies to him. Never has had a podium, never has had a win, making his 26th start. And Tulke, also a driver with a pole position. So you have Quintino and Tulke who have had 1 singular pole, but they've never been able to stand on a podium when it has come to the race.
And that will be brilliant for both of those 2 in their seasons. Of course, Gabriel Quintino hasn't been in F2 as long as Larry Tulke has, but it will still be brilliant to see both of them taking that podium spot. And then for Leo Lund, it will be perfect for him in that championship battle. Luca Rapassa, who after everything, he's back down to 16th. So he's not made or lost anything really, is Luca. He's back down to 16th spot. But of course, it has harmed Cameron Dowds as he's down to 17th. But also it's helped Nelson Alves. He's there back on the rear of the train with no penalty. He served it in the pit lane, so I suppose he's maybe a little bit back into this. But safety car will go in this lap, so Bert Marlander will fly off into the pit lane and Gabriel Quintino will get things underway. And the question is, does he go early or does he leave it as late as possible?
You don't get to see many safety cars on this game cycle, but Larry Tulke, the driver in 3rd, will look to absolutely try and go on the attack. He is taking a bit of the wide line. It's all about when does Quintino go. As we just had Richie mentioning, will it be early? Will it be late? Is he going to be able to catch out Lund? Will that leave himself vulnerable to Tulke? You can expect some form of battling down towards the first turn on this lap. We're on board with the driver in 3rd position, and Quintino at the front has gone. He's gone round the final corner, and that looks like a good exit compared to Leo Lund. And here Talo, I think, might have an opportunity as well to try and go for a move. So the top 5 all running in close proximity. Also looks like further back, I think Isaac Leet is a driver who got away quite nicely, but I don't think he'll be able to do anything down into the first. And what about Cameron Dowds? He's definitely looking for it. He was looking for it up against Rapassa, but instead he's dropped down to 18th.
Oh, he's left the session, I think. That might be a slight rage quit potentially there from Cameron Dowds. I'm not one to assume, but he just all of a sudden left the session after getting contact at turn 1. Not ideal at all for Cameron Dowds. And for God's sake, F1, it's back again, the glitch with the yellow flag on our screens. So we've not got a yellow flag, we haven't got a safety car. It's the game being the game as Luca Rapassa battling keeper Ryan Modler for 15th. Ferrari versus Red Bull, we've seen that many times before. And Luca Rapassa gets a move done and up into 15th, where I think he also has damage. So that must be the contact with Cameron Dowds.
Yeah, they both sent it down towards the first turn, and well, it all got quite interesting. They're still side by side further back. Meanwhile, just ahead, they're continuing up at the moment. That's Diego Zorza trying to fight his way by on Florian Fanzelter. Meanwhile, Rapassa gets to the apex first, directly in behind. We still have Zorza trying to get the power down. Fanzelter was always not going to leave the space of a car length there. He always had the right down towards the final 2 corners. Diego Zorza has got that penalty. If he doesn't get any more, he could possibly get that one removed if he can provide his race director screen. 1 second gap at the front of the field. Quintino has judged this one to absolute perfection. Meanwhile, the battling all taking place in the mid-pack.
Certainly is, as they all make their way through that first opening corner. And here I'm keeping an eye on Conrad Bone, because Sergio Sobrino has lost time to Tony Hietala. So this could be a potential opportunity for Conrad to make a move, but no, he has to stay back in his spot of 6th for now, as Luca Rapassa still trying to fend off from the Ferrari of Ryan Modler. But of course, damage for Luca makes it very difficult to hold on to your position, as up the inside goes Ryan Modler. He's going to have to try and keep it side by side out of turn 5. Contact again as they head into turn 7, and no way through at all for Modler. Is further ahead. I think Diego Zorza has got a move done into turn 7. Brilliant work from him as they make their way through turn 9.
It is getting aggressive. You can tell we are in the final, well, phase of the race now. They know it is a sprint all the way until the end of the contest, and the drivers are absolutely getting their elbows out. It's Quintino, Lund, Tulke our top 3, and Larry Tulke beginning to apply some pressure to Leo Lund, and it will absolutely force Leo Lund to get closer to Gabriel Quintino. So let's see whether Larry Tulke has an opportunity to now go and attack and make this move on Leo Lund. This is the closest he has been. Leo Lund knows he has to just move over and make sure he's not giving that direct toe down towards turn 1, even if it isn't that powerful. Every little can help for Larry Tulke, and there is no way through. But now these two are going to be pushing each other back towards Gabriel Quintino, and we'll have these 3, it looks like, battling all the way till the end. We'll have the rest of the field battling all the way through, because it is PCF2, and Oscar Furuheim just has the position over Diego Zorzo, with Fanzelter and Lott and Rapassa and Alves and Modler all waiting to capitalise.
Certainly, all looking to make moves of those at the back, and they're really putting the pressure down. I mean, you have got some big names then at the bottom of the field. Diego Zorzo, Rapassa, Alves, Kieran Lutt as well on his day, brilliant driver. So all these guys are really looking just to push forward and try and get ahead of those who don't normally end up in that top half of the field. So a great job by those looking to push forward, and a brilliant job by those who are in those positions to capitalise off mistakes, as Alves goes ahead of Rapassa, who was looking for a bit of a dummy. That allows Ryan Modler to go for a move around the outside at turn 12. He can't quite get ahead, so he will stay in 17th for now, and no move being made for the Ferrari. Further ahead as well, Richard Jacobs has lost a tad of time to race Imtiaz. That could allow Isaac Cleat to go for an opportunity himself. He currently sits P9. Then further ahead, race Imtiaz all over the back of Conrad Bohm. So there could be a battle for P6 as well. Wherever we look, there's a move being made potentially, and that is not something we often say on F125 in the rain.
Yeah, absolutely isn't. So we are now seeing the drivers all just try and go for moves as we described to you earlier. Same scenario where any opportunity they get, it could be their last one. So you've got to try and dive bomb. You've got to get the left elbow, the right elbow out as well. Look at how close it is between Tulke and Leo Lund. That was a 10th heading down into turn number 5. If it gets any closer than that, you can tell that Larry Tulke will absolutely go for a dive bomb opportunity, and it is absolutely fantastic to watch. We mentioned Oscar Furuheim in 11th and Keaton Lott in 14th. Well, those two got their maiden podiums last time out. We had 2 drivers on the podium for the first time last time out, and it's getting close. It's getting close. That's Alves very slow.
Oh dear me, there's 4 of them all battling for 14th here. Dear me, as they all make their way through, it's Rapasa ahead of Alves. Lutter's well involved, and then we got Ryan Modler behind. He's looking to go through. Rapasa's drove away. Contact there as Nelson Alves looks to go through on Keeds and Lutt. He does go through on Keeds and Lutt, and he moves up into 15th. 15th. Lutt to 16th, and then Ryan Modler, despite being there every battle, still, he's stuck in 17th. He can't get a break at all, can Ryan, and he's stuck in 17th as they make their way back down towards turn 1, and no moves will be made this time around, unless, no, that was a bit of a late launch there by Nelson Alves, but he decided to back out on the entry of turn 1, and we continue again. Rapasa, Alves battling for 14th. We've got a battle still between P2 and P3. We've also got a battle forming between P5 and P6, and that is Conrad Bohm and Sergio Sobrino.
Yes, there's so much still to look out for in the final stages of this race. It is absolutely still all to play for, and the drivers will be desperate to try and improve their points, or, well, for some of them, if you are lower down the field just for pride at the moment as well, just have a little bit of fun near the end of this race. So you have so many different things going on across this field. Nelson Alves, they're looking to get a good exit up against Rapasa. If you can do so, you'll get a chance to fight his way through down towards the 10th turn on this circuit. Of course, you have the back straight, and then you have these final few corners, and then you get another opportunity down this main straight, the start-finish straight that we're heading to right now with P5 and P6. It is a train all the way that leads to the front of the field. That looks close for Leo Lund. It is definitely one of the closer opportunities he's had. Quintino knows he has to defend. Lund sends it around the outside, at least attempts to. Can't get a full car length alongside at that moment though. But Leo Lund is on it now. He has fired himself back up. He's giving chase to Quintino, and he knows he has to go on the attack in the final stages of this race as he tries to grab a 6th win in F2.
Certainly, Lund knows he has to put pressure onto the back of Quintino, and that's what I think that's the main thing here. Lund knows he's not ever really going to get alongside to go for a move, so he's got to kind of scare Quintino into going deep or to going defensive, so then he can capitalise on the exit of the next corner. So I think that's really Leo Lund's game. He knows he's not going to get alongside, so it's all about just trying to plan a move and just scare your opponent into going deep or making a mistake. But of course, he'll have a lap of going for the attack, then he'll back off a bit. He'll let the tyres cool, then he'll let the engine cool, save the battery, and then he can go hammer for one more lap. And that's how you've got to do it here. You can't keep going lap after lap, sitting 2 tenths behind. You've got to have a lap where you can back off, cool down, and then go again. And that's what Leo Lund is doing a great job of so far, is just waiting and then applying the pressure onto the race leader. As again, we have a battle for 15th, and this time Nelson Alves is looking to make the move, and it's ahead of Luca Rapasa, who, despite having damage, he's doing a good job of holding Nelson Alves and those behind. But I don't think he'll be able to keep it much longer, as Alves has a good run back down towards turn 1.
Let's see whether the move is going to come in. Pull to the outside line. Rapasa will cover that inside door. It'll be neck and neck between the two of them. Alves is going to keep the foot in though. They're going to get so close to contact. Perfect view here from Lutt, who is looking ahead to the top 2 ahead, just squabbling it out. And that's going to open the door now for Lutt to get to the inside line. So Alves coming under threat, and Lutt backs out of that one. Coming off his maiden podium. Well, he settles in for 16th right now. But this is entertaining stuff. Not for any points, just for a bit of fun, as Modler sliding all over the place further back in the field, just trying to keep this one pointing in the right direction. Well, those 4 are keeping us entertained right now.
Certainly. Oh, I mean, at least they're giving us something to look at in this race and giving themselves a little bit of airtime as we make our way back down towards turn 10 here with Sergio Sobrino having a decent race in that Mercedes car, I believe, still part of the Veloce Academy team. So, yes, best of all of them. No, Leo Lund's in McLaren, isn't he? So, yes, Sergio Sobrino would be the best of all of the Veloce Academy drivers here in this race. Of course, if nobody's been keeping an eye on the news, Luca Rapasa recently joining McLaren as a dev driver. I think he's been waiting a long time to say, I've got a dev seat, and I think for the past year he's probably got the pace to say, I deserve a dev seat, and finally he gets one. And I mean, that is a disgusting team in attack, isn't it, with Luca Rapasa and Leo Lund? I mean, that is something to be scared of.
Oh, well, them two put together, fighting away. Well, Quintino definitely doesn't want those two directly in behind, because I'm sure even we could probably go to Monaco and they'll be able to find a way by somehow with how it would go. Talking about finding a way by, well, Leo Lund is definitely using this time to back off now and go for one big push, because the gap is going down to 9/10 to 1 second, and then they're going to try and close it all back in. Meanwhile, talking about closing in, this is Jacobs on the back of Imtiaz, P7 and 8 right now.
Certainly. So some battles are starting to form again. Of course, Jacobs and Imtiaz. We've got Sabrino and Hirtella once again battling for that 4th spot. Of course, Sabrino would love to get ahead and go into the P4, maybe even a podium if things can go his way. So he's got to try and make some moves now. We shortly head on to lap 27. That'll be 6 to go until the end. Of course, it's a 33 lap race here around Spain, and I think if it was dry, we would have been complete by now. It's been a little bit longer because of that wet weather. We head back down towards turn 1. Sabrino looking to close in, but nowhere near alongside to make an attack, and the same goes for Risha and Jacobs. He was close, but not enough to go for a move. So we continue on. But Sabrino here has a good line through turn 3, but he's messed it up by hitting the curb.
Yeah, hit the curve, lost all momentum, and still facing at the back of that Haas car for at least another lap. And then he'll try and regroup and go again. Meanwhile, back to Nelson Alves versus Luca Rapassa. Well, in this battle, you don't usually need to wait a lap because it's taking place in a few meters. Here we go. Alves and Rapassa. Alves selling the dummy. That was late on the brakes. My word, he tried to find a gap on the inside. And Luca Rapassa versus Alves. Well, you can tell they're both just enjoying themselves at the back, having this fierce battle out there on the circuit. And Rapassa's still ahead.
I mean, how Alves didn't take out Rapassa there, I don't know, because obviously he went for that quick change to the inside, locked up the tyres, went straight, and somehow Rapassa came away unscathed. I mean, that was a scary moment there, I think, for both of them. More Rapassa looking back on it and thinking, oh my, he was very close, but also Alves thinking, oh no, we've got no way to go, we're going to lock up and hit him, but somehow they make it out of that one, and oh, randomly, the yellow flags have removed. Dear me, as Alves is in the pit lane, so I think he might be calling it quits here. Oh, he's speeding in. No, he's not. He's slowing down. What's he trying to do? I'm not sure. Pass this up, maybe?
Well, trying to have some fun out there on the circuit, I guess. Just get a fresh set of boots, do it for pride once again. Definitely could be the case for Nelson Alves. Further back, he's had enough of that battle, so he's dived it into the pits, as we mentioned. We're now currently watching with our leader, who's got a gap by 0.7 of a second at the moment in the final few laps, and well, it's looking very good for Gabriel Quintino. He is just going to be ticking off the laps, but this has been a great drive from the Brazilian driver as of yet, and he's controlled things absolutely brilliantly, and that's what he needed to do, just make sure there's no mistakes, and he's pretty much got it sorted. Did just cover the inside line in the few opportunities that Leo Lund would get, and he's been doing that absolutely brilliantly, has Gabriel Quintino.
Certainly, as he will shortly head on to lap 29, 4 to go. And I mean, this is probably going to be a very, very scary few laps, because we've seen the drivers fight in the car through these corners. It's not an easy one indeed, and there's still many laps to go, and it just feels like every lap gets longer as you get closer and closer to the end of the race. And I think with them all pitting on a decent lap halfway through, they're not going to have to worry about punctures, which they might have had to have done if they didn't pit on that initial lap under the safety car. Of course, the likes of Rapassa, there was a couple of others as well who went very early on their pit stop. So as we head back down towards turn 4, it's still Quintino, London, Tulkey. Of course, Tony Hirtella's not really been there in terms of fighting for a podium, but he's been very comfortable in sitting in his position and just controlling his race and taking some decent points away and eating away at that gap between himself and Luca Rapassa. Of course, it is currently 5 points. 8 points, I think, for P4 or something like that. I should know, but I don't. I've been here for, what, 3 years? I should know the points gap, but I don't. But I'm sure it'll be enough for him to overtake Rapassa in the standings.
Yep, absolutely. We are rapidly now making our way down towards the end of the race. But yes, we are currently seeing just the final few battles take place. Prigibel trying well, to double his points from today, because he is about 2/10 back from Isaac Lees, and then he's trying to now make that move and gain a position, but he is running out of time. We're looking at Hietala. Well, he's got some breathing room over Sergio Sabrino, which he didn't have earlier on, and now it's Sergio Sabrino the one who's looking to try and defend from Conrad Bohm, who we were mentioning. Good qualifying considering the practice, good race as well he's been able to put together as of yet, and if he can get into the top 5, that would also be the cherry on top pretty much.
Certainly, as we continue our way on, and well, there's nothing much to talk about now. The battles have all died off. Rapassa and Alves have stopped battling because Alves went to the pits, and Leo Lund, I think he's just waiting now until lap 32 to go for the move. I don't think he'd leave it till the last lap. I think he might go lap 32, go for an attack on Quintino, and just see what happens. As we say that, look at the gap that's gone up to Larry Torkey. He made a mistake. Oh, he's disconnected. Larry Torkey is disconnected from the session with 3 laps to go. Dear me. But that brings Tony Hietala into the podium positions.
Such a shame for Larry Tulke, who was laps away from his first podium in the second tier, and it has all faded away for him. He's going to drop down the order. Hietala will improve a position, and Larry Tulke, well, he's been absolutely brilliant today, and I can definitely guarantee you that his chance will come. He will absolutely get that chance to stand on a podium, because today has been absolutely perfect, and that is such a shame, and it's so disappointing that it has to end in that way on the final few laps as well. Meanwhile, talking about the final few laps, due to the car of Larry Tulke, it means we've got cars absolutely everywhere down the straight. We're very nearly getting to 4 wide on the circuit. We are getting to 4 wide as they try and get their way by. Oh, contact! Larry Tulke's car in the middle, sending off. Racing Diaz is going to lose points. And, well, we were always heading to that territory. Leet also off the road. And, well, it's all happened in the final laps, hasn't it?
It has done, and that will bring, because of penalties to Zorzo, it will bring Florian Van Zelter into the top 10, who was down in, 17th after qualifying. It wasn't his best qualifying result, and he now sits on the fringe of a singular point here in this race. I mean, that does top things off, doesn't it? We've had carnage at the back, we had carnage in the midfield. I'm sure now we've got to wait for some sort of carnage at the front of the field, and with that gap now, with Hietala jumping up into the top 3, the gap now between himself and Sabrino has came down to 7/10. Is Sergio Sabrino potentially looking to get himself into the top 3 himself here with an opportunity with 2 laps to go?
Would be his 9th podium in PCF2. Diego Zorzo, well, he's got a penalty to his name, but just trying to fight his way by. Remember, there could be the chance that he could get that one removed as well. So Van Zelter will want to make the move on the circuit as well if he wants to try and get into the top 10. It'll all depend on how many warnings he's had, and basically everything under that description you'll need to provide his race director screen, as I mentioned, for any chance of that penalty being removed if he wants to get these points. So we come over the line then and make our way through onto another lap of the race, the penultimate lap of the race, and there was Isaac Lee just looking for it at the moment, but he has got the ideal racing line until he lost the car momentarily, and that will cost him the momentum up the hill down to turn 4, so you'll have to sit in behind. But yes, we're on the penultimate lap, and we are seeing Leo Lund just try to give it his all, 9/10, but I don't think he'll have it.
No, it's, I think, a little bit too late now for Leo Lund. If he went for it a couple of laps ago, it could have been a chance, but with the 9/10 gap going on to lap 33, Quintino now can just push his battery, push his tyres, and just get to the end of the race. That's the main thing for him heading on to that final lap. I think the only chance here of a change up in the top 10 is for P3 here, because Sabrino is slowly bringing that gap down. It's 5/10 as they head into turn 12. If he can bring that gap down to 3/10 by the time they exit out of turn 14, there could potentially be a P3 on the cards here.
It really, really could as well. So there's a few more battles taking place as we head on to the 33rd and final lap of this race. Sergio Sabrino will dump all the battery he's got in the hope of ending up in 3rd position this time next lap, but he'll have to go all in, he'll have to send it. But Brazil is about to get a winner, and Brazil has got a great fan base. I know Felipe Souza has built that up over the years. We're about to now get a Brazilian winner, another greatly talented Brazilian winner, in the name of Gabriel Quintino, a second ahead at the moment. And he's about to grab what will be his first podium and also his first win at the same time.
Certainly, and momentum is what you need. He currently sits P26 in the standings, taking part in one race this season, which ended in a DNF. He's taken his second pole. It will convert into his first win and his first podium in PCF2. I can see the chat going absolutely mental for the Brazilian driver. He's got a couple of corners to go as he makes his way in towards turn 10, through into 11, then into the right-hander of turn 12. He's got an 8th, 10th gap now to Leo Lund. He makes no mistake, and he's got his first win in PSGL PCF2. One corner to go for Gabriel Quintino around Spain. 33 laps of racing. It's Quintino who wins. He takes his first win, and he wins in Spain. A brilliant result for Quintino. Leo Lund finishes in P2, and then after heartbreak for Tolkien, it's Tony Hietala who reigns off the podium.
Absolutely brilliant start from Gabriel Quintino, another new winner in PSGL Season 41. Great to see another driver take his chance. A man who was a reserve driver to start the season, promoted full-time to the green colours of Aston Martin, and promoting himself all the way to the top step of the podium. A DNF last time out, all the way to the checkered flag first. And the Brazilian driver has done it. Gabriel Quintino, the race winner, P1 as you mentioned, at the end of 33 extraordinary laps where he had to go on the defensive, and he delivered the goods out there on the circuit, and you're deserving winner of round 6.
Certainly. P1 on to start. He led every lap, I believe, because of the safety car, and then he turned it into a win. I mean, that is as perfect as you can get, especially for your first win in the league. Brilliant for Gabriel Quintino. Of course, Leo Lund, very close, but not quite close enough. He finished it in second. Tony Hietala, after qualifying third, after making a mistake on lap 1, retakes third. That'll be another podium to add to his name. Sergio Sobrino, a great result from him in fourth. Conrad Bohm finishes in 5. No position changes for him. As Richard Jacobs, a very good recovery from P10. He goes up into the top 6 ahead of Gregory Prugibel, and a good recovery as well from Oscar Furheim. Then we had Isaac Cleaton. Florian Van Zelter from 17th. Reigned off the top 10. Then we had Diego Zorzo, Larry Solke after disconnection in 12th. Then we had Race Imtiaz, Luca Rapassa, Keaton Lutz, Ryan Modler, Nelson Alves, and then the retired Cameron Dowds and Tom Roberts. But what an ending there. Brilliant for Gabriel Quintino. And, well, hopefully that's some momentum for him to carry forward into the next few races. So, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. And hopefully we'll have a chat from him as well.
Hopefully that will be the case, but that was absolutely extraordinary. I mean, it was great to watch. It was great to see Quintino in the days of F3 when he was really making his mark. And I remember him, well, completely dominating, absolutely obliterating the field. He took pole in Australia, I remember, by 0.3 of a second in F3. It was crazy. He was able to do things which you just wouldn't see. You just wouldn't see from anyone, really. And he was always destined for F2, and I'm really happy he's finally taken the chance and been able to deliver.
Certainly. And we do have a couple of drivers waiting for an interview. So first, Naomi, we'll drag in Tony Hietala, and let's have a chat to our third place driver.
Yep. In comes Tony Hietala. Well, welcome, Tony, up here to the commentary box. First of all, well done out there on the circuit. Of course, a late improvement to the podium position with Laurie Tulkey, of course, having that disconnection late on. But for yourself, you were there to capitalise on the opportunity, and it's only your second podium in F2. How does it feel?
Well, it was a pretty boring race, to be honest. It's impossible to overtake, especially on this track, and even with the rain, no DRS, no anything. It was, I mean, I don't know if I had good pace, but it was enough for P3, and obviously Larry disconnected right in front of me. I feel super bad for him as well, but P3 I'm really happy about, and it's great consistency from me.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. Leo Lund, who we'll speak to in a second. Of course, he is one of your rivals for this title. You currently find yourself, well, you came into this P3 in the points battle. Rapassa with an absolutely terrible day, so you'll both find yourself closing in. So if we look bigger picture in terms of this championship battle, Tony, do you think that's absolutely on now? Because you've been consistent, of course, as the rest of the grid calls you. You're a bit of a qualifying merchant with the way you're able to wrestle the car up to pole position all the time. But do you think you'll be able to get the consistency across the rounds to also possibly be called the Season 41 champion?
Well, maybe. I mean, anything is still possible. Anything can happen, in this season to anybody. I can get my front wing broken next week. Any one of my rivals can get taken out or something. Just anything can happen. I'm just gonna try and do my best every race and just see how it goes.
Yeah, round by round approach. Great way to take it. And I think you've given a perfect description of what PCF2 is like. Thank you very much for joining us. Been great to speak to you, and hopefully we'll get to see you on the podium more often.
Yeah, cheers.
And, well, Richie, next driver, we've got Leo Lund up here in the commentary box with us now.
We have indeed. Leo, welcoming. Great to have you back in the commentary box. It's been a bit of a while since I've seen you in here. So first of all, after that P2 finish, how are you feeling?
Not great. I had the pace for the win, but it's impossible to overtake in this dirt here. Low wing versus high wing, so it was pretty hard.
Of course, and in that race as well, we saw a couple of times where you managed to get within a tenth or two of Gabriel. And was that more about just having to back off, pull the tyres and the engine down, and then just go full push for a lap? Or was it something that or was it maybe a mistake from Gabriel ahead that allowed you to close the gap?
No, it was actually my managing. I was some laps taking it slower, and some laps I was actually pushing. But yeah, it's super hard in the dirt here.
Yeah, certainly. It's wasn't the best race to overtaken at all. And of course, standings-wise, you now become the effective championship leader because of no points being scored for Luca Rapassa. And if I'm correct, it'll be a point gap of 7 in your favour. And of course, with 5 rounds left to go, with the momentum you've had this season, you're hoping that this could be the turning point for you in the championship to just continue on extending that lead?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I should.
Perfect. And of course, next time out, we head off to Britain, Silverstone. What do you think of that track? I mean, it's a track that everybody seems to know by the back of their hand, but of course, strategy is very key around there, isn't it?
I mean, it's one of my worst tracks, sadly, but we'll see how it goes.
That's it. Well, Leo, thanks for joining in. Pleasure to have you in the commentary box as usual, and hopefully we'll see you again next week.
Bye.
And we have, of course, Omi, our race winner, debut winner here in F2. Let's have a chat to him.
Yes, absolutely. Now joining us is your most recent race winner in PSGL PCF2, Gabriel Quintino. Well, first of all, Gabriel, congratulations. Your first podium in F2, your first win in F2. How does it feel to get it all in one race?
Felt quite a while, Omi. Since we saw each other last since F3, but yeah, I think well, this race I think was tough. I don't know. My PBs were looking kind of good going to this, but like I never trust my PBs on this game because the issue that I have with this game is just basically putting a lap together when it comes to the actual session, and then yeah, just of course working with the team, try to see like what actually happened in terms of not putting the lap actually in. But this time I actually put quite a good lap in. I was quite satisfied with that. It was close to my PB. So, and then yeah, in the race, it was a huge relief because it was raining. I had high wings. Leo was literally a rocket behind me. So it was just trying to get just trying to push in the corners, and then of course the hope that he would not catch on the straight. Safety cars saved me quite a lot there. Can't lie, because we didn't know what to do strategy wise. We didn't know if the rain was going to stay the same, if it was going to be a dry line, and then more tire wear and everything. So it was just about now that since we had the safety car, we were 100% sure we can full push into the end. And yeah, we're just trying in this race, like try to use everything, and then on the corners, try to open as much as I got to Leo. Yeah, that felt good actually. I mean, first win since over a year. This year in general, and this game has been very, very, very tough for me. After I think it was like last season of F2. Yeah, last season of F2, last game I changed pedals, moved to a load cell. Just was just struggling everything. Like finished the first season on the new pedals with not scoring a point at all, and then came next. Then came the previous season, and then it was just I did not have a point until like the last race, and yeah, just to get like such a result right now, I think yeah, it means a lot, and takes a huge weight off my shoulders. So yeah, kind of happy with that to be fair.
It does. It really, really does. I can't imagine. Now we've got some great circuits coming up as well. We're heading to Britain, Mexico, Jeddah, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi. Of course, Brazil being your home race as well. Is this something we can expect more from you across the rest of the season, you think?
Nah, to be fair, I don't guarantee anything. I mean, of course, pace today was really good. If it was going to be Canada for today, if that was not the glitch, I'm not sure if I would have the same pace. But I mean, it's impossible to know because we didn't race. But if I expect anything going forward, I don't know. We'll see. It's just the fact that just trying to knock those laps down in the right moment, and yeah, just just having good race pace like it was today. So I don't know. I cannot guarantee. Maybe it's not the maybe it's not the last time I'm here, but yeah, I'll try. I'll try to have better results coming up. So yeah.
Yeah, and do you have any words for your fans? Because there was a lot of fans at the end of that race. Do you have anything to say to them? Because they were absolutely spamming our chats at the end of the race.
Nah, I mean, nah, not only Brazil, but like South America and whole, like damn, like they just go crazy whenever they do good. So, yeah, no, thank you everyone for the support. I mean, I know it's been a tough year, especially from my side, but yeah, finally we could get a good result. And I think not like never a Brazilian driver, South American driver won in F2. So I mean, I just saw the chat like after the race was done, it was going crazy. So yeah, I'm pretty happy for that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Quintino, the 53rd different driver to win a PSGL PCF2 race. And yes, great to have yourself also taking Brazil all the way to the top step of the podium. And we hope to speak to you, as we mentioned, more often.
Yeah, thank you so much, Omi. Appreciate that.
Well, we'll see you later, Gabriel Quintino.
Yeah, thank you. And Nathan, make sure to eat less when you can. Thank you.
All right, here we go.
Oh,
I'm not going
here we
to
go.
anymore. You know what? You don't deserve that. I hope you get a penalty.
Oh.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Right, there we go. Oh, dear me. A little bit of shed at the end from Gabrielle. Shame to see. Right, we're back. Hello, everyone. Oh, what a race that was for me to return to F2. I might have to keep doing that again. Wait a season or two, come back, and then we have an absolutely banger of a race. Maybe that's the way to do it. But dear me, I mean, I wasn't expecting that. When I first saw the message from Mr. William saying that it would be wet all race, I'm thinking to myself, dear God, it's going to be the most boring 33 laps. But no, it was actually very interesting, and we had a very good win at the end as well. So, yeah, that was enjoyable, that was.
It really, really was. Very much a good race. Very much what you want of a PCF2 race. And as we look over to the calendar, well, round 6 was exciting of Spain, which, of course, in place of Canada after the bugs that we had. We're going to Silverstone next time out, which did have a safety car last season, which did have quite a bit of chaos last season. So you know where to be in a week's time. And then a week after that, we're back from Mexico, and then we are saying goodbye for a little bit as well as we celebrate Christmas and New Year. We'll return at the Jeddah Corniche circuit on the 8th of January, and then we'll be back for Brazil and Abu Dhabi the next 2 weeks after that to crown our champion. And we were mentioning before we went on air as well, Richie, it's a very unpredictable season. Last season, it was Angelo Di Ortenzio. I mean, he was able to take the wins record, the podium record. You had another driver, Jan Halliday, who currently has, in terms of the podiums record, he holds that. So you had two big drivers who would constantly get themselves to the top. This season, we're getting so many new drivers coming to the top, getting their chance. So it's an unpredictable season, and I think it will be one that goes all the way until that 22nd January of Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, certainly. And just having a quick look at the standings again, of course, with Gabriel Quintino, who currently sits at the bottom of the standings with that win. That makes it in 6 races, 12 podium sitters. Then we had as well... No, it would have been Larry that would have made it 13. But no, so it would be 12 podium sitters in 6 races. Now, that is superb, isn't it? That's pretty much an average of 2 new podium sitters per race. And I'm sure we go to Silverstone, you'll have another couple of drivers try and bounce their way forward. So this is turning into a very, very competitive season. But of course, Leo Lund and Luca Rapassa and Tony Hirtella, they're kind of the drivers that nobody can beat. They're just so consistently up there. 2 wins apiece for the top 2. It's 2 podiums as well now for Tony. It just seems like those 3 are just going to keep pulling that gap away and away.
It really, really looks like they will. Well, we've got a great fight at the front of the field, and I think that's the important thing. That's exactly what we want from a PSGL PCF2 season. So we're brilliantly set up, and we're looking forward to seeing how this one is going to go. Well, we'll bring it back over to the camera screen. And, well, Richie, I'd love to get your final thoughts, your appearance here on PCF2. Well, I think you've picked a good one to come to. Well, how do you think the rest of this season's going to go?
It's going to be close between those 3, between Luca, Leo and Tony. I feel like Tony might drop off a little bit at the end of the season just because of the experience and the extra backing that Leo and Luca have with their esports teams. I think those 2 will probably take it all the way to the end. But of course, 5 races ago, you never really know what's going to happen, and you can always see somebody who's a little bit further down, get a couple of wins on the bounce and jump their way up in the standings. So either way, I think whatever happens, it's going to go to the final race in Abu Dhabi, which is, of course, what everybody loves to see. And, of course, this was a perfect race to join back because we had a very enjoyable wet race. No, wet race in the rain. No, we had a very enjoyable race in the rain. There we go.
Yes. There we go. Words came out at the end. But yes, that brings an end to round number 6 of the season. Some great stories all the way from the start until the end. Gabriel Quintino taking his first pole, podium and win all in a days of action. We're going to be looking forward to Silverstone. That'll be in a week's time on the 11th of December. We hope to have your company there. But from Spain, it has been a great one, and we cannot wait to see what the next round of PSGL PCF2 will have to bring. We'll see you there. Goodbye.